Once upon a time, in Lagos, a young girl sat trembling in the corner of a large kitchen. Her fingers clutched the hem of her faded dress. On the floor, shards of a broken plate lay scattered. Her boss, Madam Funke, stood over her, her face twisted with rage. "You useless girl," she hissed. "Do you know how much the plate cost?" Aisha opened her mouth to speak, but the slap came first. A sharp, hot sting burned across her cheek. Tears filled her eyes, but she swallowed them back. She had learned the hard way. Crying only made things worse. She bowed her head. "I'm sorry, ma." Madam Funke glared at her for a long moment before turning and storming out of the kitchen. Aisha exhaled slowly. She had made a mistake coming to this house, but now she had nowhere else to go. Aisha had come to Lagos with nothing. Her mother had died when she was barely 10, and her father had disappeared long before that. Left with no one to care for her, she lived with her uncle in the village. He was a hard man with little patience and too many mouths to feed. So one day, he sent her away. "There is a woman in Lagos who needs a house girl," he told her. "You will work there and send money home." Aisha didn't want to leave, but what choice did she have? She packed her few belongings and followed the man who had come to fetch her. She thought she was going to a new life. Instead, she was being sold. Madam Funke's house was a mansion, the type Aisha had only seen in magazines. It had marble floors, shiny chandeliers, and expensive furniture. But beneath all that beauty, the house was cold. Aisha quickly learned the rules. She must wake up before sunrise and sleep only after Madam Funke had retired. She must clean, cook, and serve food without speaking. She was never allowed to sit on the sofas or eat the same food as the family. And most importantly, she was never to enter the master bedroom. At first, Aisha obeyed, but as days turned into weeks, she started noticing strange things. At night, she heard whispers, low, urgent voices coming from behind locked doors, and sometimes Madam Funke spoke to herself, not in the way people mutter under their breath, but full conversations, as if someone unseen was responding. Something was wrong in this house. One afternoon, Madam Funke left in a hurry, forgetting to lock her bedroom door. Aisha stood in front of it, her heart pounding. Curiosity burned inside her. She knew she shouldn't, but something pushed her forward. Slowly, she stepped inside. The room was neat, too neat. Everything was perfectly arranged, as if no one truly lived there. But then she saw it, a small wooden box on the dresser. Her hand trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside where photographs are kept, pictures of a little boy. A boy who looked just like Madam Funke. Aisha frowned. Madam Funke had no children. At least, that is what she told everyone. That night, Aisha couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the boy in the photos. Who was he? And why did Madam Funke hide his pictures? Then she heard it again. A low cry. It came from the master bedroom. Aisha sat up, holding her breath. Madam Funke was alone in that room, wasn't she? Slowly, Aisha crept to the door and pressed her ear against it. Inside, Madam Funke was sobbing. Then, in a broken whisper, she said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Aisha covered her mouth. Who was she talking to? And what had she done? The next morning, Madam Funke acted normal, but Aisha saw the redness in her eyes. She had been crying all night. As Aisha cleaned the house, she searched for more clues. Then she found it, a newspaper hidden under a stack of old books. The headline sent chills down her spine. Society woman loses son in tragic accident. She stared at the picture beside the article. It was the same boy from the photos. As she read, the story was from years ago. Madam Funke had a son, Toby. One evening, he had drowned in the backyard swimming pool. He was only 6, and Madam Funke, she had been inside the house, too busy hosting a party to notice. Guilt swelled inside Aisha's heart. Her boss wasn't just cruel, she was haunted. That night, it happened again. The crying, the whispers. Aisha couldn't take it anymore. She stepped into the hallway and walked to Madam Funke's door. She knocked softly. The crying stopped. After a long silence, the door creaked open. Madam Funke stood there, her face pale. Aisha hesitated. "Ma, are you okay?" For the first time, Madam Funke didn't yell at her. She just stared, her lips trembling. Then, in a broken voice, she whispered, "Do you believe in ghosts?" Aisha shivered. Madam Funke stepped aside and pointed to a chair. "Sit," she said. Aisha had never been invited to sit before. She obeyed. Madam Funke took a deep breath. "I see him," she whispered, "every night, my son." Aisha's heart pounded. "Are you sure?" Madam Funke nodded. "He stands by my bed, watching me. Sometimes I hear his voice." Tears rolled down her face. "I was a bad mother," she confessed. "I was supposed to protect him, but I failed." For the first time, Aisha saw not a cruel boss, but a broken woman. Aisha had two choices. She could run, leave this house and never look back, or she could help. She thought of her own mother, the love she never got. Then she made her decision. "Maybe he doesn't want to harm you," she said softly. "Maybe he just wants you to remember him." Madam Funke's breath hitched. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she nodded, and for the first time, she whispered, "Thank you." Slowly, things changed. Madam Funke started talking about Toby instead of hiding him. She visited his grave, something she had never done before. And the whispers, they faded. The house became lighter, warmer, and one morning, Aisha served breakfast. Madam Funke looked at her and said something shocking. "You are not just my maid, Aisha. You are my daughter now." Everyone carries a past. Some wounds are deep, but love and understanding can heal even the most broken hearts. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you do, please like the video, comment, and please do not forget to subscribe for more interesting stories.